Let's get straight to it. Spark plugs on a 2006 Mazda 3S Grand Touring. Everything purchased through Advance Auto Parts online using promotion code from Shop at Home. $44.54 in total. What you'll need: some anti-seize lubricant, dielectric grease, NGK plugs, ILTR5A13, 4 of those of course, an 8mm wrench or deep socket, a 15mm wrench or deep socket, a 5/8 spark plug socket, a socket extension of at least 6 inches, and a 3/8 inch ratchet. The engine cover can be removed fairly easily by applying upward pressure. Once removed, you will find the 4 coil packs located here. Press the wiring harness clip with your thumb to release the tension and easily remove from the coil packs. Use your 15mm wrench to break free the plastic inserts for the engine cover and remove by hand. Using the 8mm wrench, remove all 4 coil pack bolts and set aside safely. Be sure when removing not to strip them. After the bolts have been removed, you should be able to easily work the coil pack free from the existing spark plugs. And a quick peek at what you're going to see once that's removed. Using your 5/8 socket and your socket extension set in place on the existing spark plugs, carefully break free as these may be rusted in place from years of use. As you can see here, this was the worst of what I removed, with actual metal shards on the threads after I removed it. And to compare the old with the new, different thread length, but they still seat the same. What I removed was a Motorcraft Platinum. And if you never applied anti-seize before, you only want to use an amount about the size of the tip of your finger on one side of the threads. That should be more than enough. I prefer to apply the dielectric grease to the boot itself on the inside walls so that it will coat the ceramic as it's reinserted. You don't need a lot, but don't use too little. And if you just happen to need a place to keep a plug you've already placed some anti-seize on, I noticed the small holes in the front end of the engine compartment work great. Using your extension and your spark plug socket, you'll want to start the new plugs by hand, being sure not to cross thread. If you encounter resistance, sometimes some wiggling can free it up. Once you've tightened it as far as you can by hand, pull out the ratchet. And here's a quick peek inside with the new plug inserted. Be extremely careful not to over torque the spark plugs. With the new plug in place, grab the boot, being sure you've applied the dielectric grease, and reinsert the coil pack, making sure that it's fully seated. Now retrieve the 8mm wrench and the coil pack bolts you've placed aside. Tighten down, again being careful not to over torque. With the coil pack back in place, reattach the wiring harness and move on to the next plug. It's always safest to change one spark plug at a time. This way you avoid risking damage to all 4 cylinders instead of just one should something go wrong. With all 4 complete, replace the engine cover and take it for a test drive.